When Andy Dunn sent me down to Minton to look at some cattle, it was the first time I'd been in the southern part of the state since the Indian uprisings. It's a beautiful country down that way, but mighty empty and mighty lonely. Along about noon, I was beginning to figure I'd got myself lost. The sign said Minton, all right, but it didn't show which way. I looked over, and Scar was headed southeast, so that's the way we went. Maybe Scar had smelled water because we hadn't gone more than a mile when we saw a house. An old ranch house, just about 1,000,000 miles from nowhere. Hello? Anybody home? Mind if we have some water? So stingy with your water? I'll leave if you'll show yourself.
You can leave right now, mister.
Well, now, just a minute, ma'am.
I mean it. Strangers are not welcome here.
I kind of got that idea. I don't mean you any harm, ma'am.
What are you doing here?
I'm on my way to Minton.
You came the wrong way.
I know, but the sign was down at the fork a ways back. It'd be closer for me to go ahead than to turn back, wouldn't it?
Mister, I don't care which way you go, just so you go.
I'll go. I'd feel a lot safer if you'd put that gun down. You don't have any cause to shoot me, ma'am. I'm on my way to Minton to buy cattle. My name's Bonner, Vint Bonner.
Vint Bonner? Were you ever in the Army?
Yes, ma'am. I served as a scout with the cavalry, but that was some time ago.
I think I've heard my husband speak of you. I'm Hannah Gilford.
General Gilford's wife? I knew the general. I was with him at Fort Clark just before...
I realize I've been rude, but I need someone to help me.
I'll do what I can.
Then I wonder if you could stay here for a while. Oh, I won't keep you long. Just have a meal with us and talk. It would do the general so much good.
Oh, ma'am, the general was killed.
I know he would be pleased to see an old friend. You can't imagine what it's like to be alone all the time.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I just don't understand. I thought...
You thought the general was dead. I know. That's what everyone thinks. But it isn't true.
But the Fort Clark massacre...
General Gilford was not killed at the Fort Clark massacre.
The Cheyennes slaughtered the garrison down to the last man.
They did not kill my husband. Don't you think I ought to know?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It just doesn't seem possible.
I thought you'd understand. But you're just like all the others.
I'm sorry.
Just go away, Mr. Bonner. Water your horse and go.
When I got to Minton, I knew I had to locate Joe Kennedy, the cattle dealer. But first, there was a little more I wanted to know about Hannah Gilford. So I stopped at the place that can generally answer my questions about a town.
Yes, I know how you feel, Mr. Bonner. It's mighty sad about Hannah Gilford. Mighty sad. I sat through that army hearing myself, all of it. Not one man got out of the fort alive.
Well, everyone in Minton knows that. Everyone except the general's widow.
Well, can't anyone make her understand?
Yeah, people have tried. I've tried. Yeah, she just flies off the handle, just like she did with you. Bob Price there works for Joe Kennedy.
Took a shot at you, did you, mister? Guess old Hannah's back on the firing range again.
Well, I don't think it's that funny, friend.
Well, we were warned to steer clear of Widow Gilford. Reckon you should do the same. You looking for Kennedy?
Yeah. Know where I can find him?
Keeping out of Hannah's range.
Kill it.
Town has to have someone to laugh at. Hannah Gilford is a good target. I guess I'm about the only person she sees now. I go out there every month or so and take a load of provisions. I said to her, I said, look, Hannah, if the general is alive, let me speak to him. Show me. Yeah, and she'd try. Poor woman would take me into the house. There wasn't another living soul within miles of that place. Not a single living soul.
Best thing for me to do is to get my mind on something else. See about the cattle I'd come for.
This Bonner's the latest one that's happened to. In 5 minutes, Hannah took 2 shots at him, asked him into the house for dinner, and then slammed the door in his face. I think I've got a right to know, Sheriff, just what you're going to do about her.
I got no grounds to do anything, Kennedy. You know that.
When she starts shooting at people, it's time to clear her out of there.
Hi, Bert.
Bonner! Good to see you, Vint. What brings you to Minton?
Cattle. I'm looking for a man named Joe Kennedy.
You found him.
I'm Kennedy.
Oh,
Glad to know you, Mr. Bonner.
glad to know you, Mr. Kennedy.
Everyone's heard of the 6-shooter. How many head are you in the market for?
Well, first, I'd like to see what you've got.
Oh, not too many and not too fat. Grazing land's been pretty dry. But why not come out to the ranch in the morning and have a look?
Thanks, I'll do that. Did I hear mention of a little problem when I came in?
Afraid you stirred up a hornet's nest, Vint, stumbling onto the Widow Gilford the way you did.
I hope I wasn't the means of causing her any trouble.
Nobody wants to cause her any trouble, Mr. Bonner. But if she's starting to get violent,
More than likely, I frightened her coming up on her suddenly like that.
I've got some grazing land next to that ranch of hers. My boys have to work out there. I wouldn't want any of them getting shot.
Sure you don't want me to run her out, Kennedy, so you can take over her ranch? It would fit in pretty well with that spread of yours.
Oh, I don't deny that I could use it. In fact, I offered her $6,000 for it. A run-down place like that. If she wouldn't take that kind of money, she's got to be out of her head. Now take what she did to you.
She didn't cause me any harm, Mr. Kennedy.
Hannah Gilford may be hard to understand at times, but she's the widow of a mighty fine man. The general died defending his territory. If it hadn't have been for men like him, the Cheyennes would have burnt this town to the ground long ago.
That may well be. But his widow's still a dangerous woman. I'll see you in the morning, Mr. Bonner.
Right. Looks like everybody in town's got pretty strong opinions about Hannah Gilford. One way or the other. I didn't know exactly what I thought I could do, but before seeing Joe Kennedy in the morning, I wanted to have a talk with General Gilford's widow. I figured she'd heard me ride up. When I reached the porch, I heard something that made my flesh crawl.
William, if you'll sit quietly, I'll read to you. I don't want to argue anymore. You must try to understand. I thought Mr. Bonner would be a welcome guest. I meant you no harm, Will. I'll read to you from the book of Proverbs. Who's there? Answer me. Who is it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Mr. Bonner. What are you doing here? I don't like people prying.
I just came to pay you a little visit. I know how it is to be lonely.
Well, that's very kind of you, but...
May I come in?
Very well, if you like. It's plain, but it's my home.
I see.
I'm afraid you got a poor impression of me today. But there's no reason to worry, really.
I heard you talking to someone when I came up.
Talking to someone? Oh, no.
I was sure.
You heard me reading. I often sit by myself and read in the evenings.
I see.
I get very lonely to hear a human voice. So I sit here and read.
At the table?
Yes, by the light. Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am. I believe you read by the table.
You see, there's nothing to worry about. I'm perfectly all right.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Mr. Bonner.
By 11 next morning, I'd pretty much finished my business with Kennedy. Like he said, his cattle weren't much to look at. And there weren't but a few I liked well enough to buy.
How do they look to you?
I can use about 50 head.
50?
That's about it. Andy and his men will be along in a few days to drive them north.
Oh, all right. But it's hardly worth the trouble.
What's this? Looks a little like a posse.
Maybe that's just what it is.
Who are you after?
General Gilford's widow.
Don't you think that would...
Now, look, Bonner, this don't concern you. You don't have to work out there. My men do. You can forget about it when she threatened you with a gun. We don't intend to.
I was out there last night. She seemed fine.
We've had 5 years of it. Time we put a stop to it.
Don't you think that's a job for the sheriff?
Bert Jessup won't raise a finger. It's up to us.
And Hannah Gilford.
We're not going to hurt her. All we intend to do is to send her somewhere where she'll be cared for and not bother anybody.
Where's that?
The state home up at Capital City, and nobody's going to stop us.
I never did believe in ghosts, and I wasn't about to begin. Please don't, General.
You're Vent Bonner, aren't you? Why couldn't it have been someone else? Why did it have to be you?
I don't know what you're trying to do, but I came here to warn your wife.
Warn Hannah?
Yes, there's trouble coming. I thought she ought to know.
Well, there was no... Mr. Bonner, why can't you leave us alone?
I don't mean to bother you, ma'am.
It's all right, Hannah.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. Well, it's for the best. Don't you see that?
I don't know.
What are you going to do with us?
I want to help you. There's some men coming from town to
do what?
to send you away. Seems you've got the whole town of Mitten thinking you're a dangerous and violent woman.
Send me away?
To the state home. I don't know what you and the general hope to accomplish by all this, but whatever it is, your time's running out.
Will, you'll have to help me. Well, please, it's time to face the truth.
Face the truth? How do you do that? How do you go for years hiding something inside yourself, and then one afternoon let it all come out into the sunlight? How do you do that?
Are you sure you have something to hide, General?
Am I sure? I've had time to make certain, wouldn't you say? I thought in time people would forget.
I tried and tried to make him see. A man can't bury himself, wish himself dead.
I know, Hannah. I know you did all you could. This is your reward. They think you're a dangerous woman.
What else could they think? But I was willing to let them think anything. If you wanted it that way, Will. I wasn't looking for any reward.
I know, my dear. I've made you pay a terrible price for loyalty.
Not just for loyalty.
I know you wondered my reasons for all this.
Yes, sir. I do.
Did you ever do something that suddenly made you realize you weren't fit to live any longer? How would it sit with you to know that I was nowhere near Fort Clark when it was attacked? I'd been sick for weeks. The time came when I couldn't stand it any longer. The medical corpsmen at the fort couldn't help me. I thought it would be safe to chance a trip to a doctor. Safe. Half the Cheyenne tribe just over the hills, and I thought it would be safe.
But you didn't know.
I should have known. I knew the Indians wanted that fort. A good commander would have known where and when they would attack. They saw me go. When I left the fort, there were 3 of them on a hill over the trail. Those 3 Indians were Cheyenne scouts. They saw the commanding general leave the fort. 3 hours later, they attacked.
General, that's not the reason.
When I learned, I went back and I saw every single man killed. Everyone burned, mutilated.
William, please.
And the finest part of my triumph, when I tried to report, they were saying I was a hero. I had made the great sacrifice. The gallant commander died at the head of his garrison. I couldn't face anyone after that. I came back here to die. I've been dead ever since.
Mr. Barnes, the men are riding toward the house.
Mrs. Gilford!
I'm afraid they mean business.
I'll talk to them. What do you want?
Thought we'd like to have a little talk with you, Hannah.
What about?
You know me, don't you? Joe Kennedy?
Of course I know you. But I'm busy now.
Hannah, we came all the way out here just to see you. You know we're only interested in your welfare.
Well, that's very kind of you. But
I'm not going to hurt you. Not a bit. Now, Hannah, I want you to hear me out carefully. Now, all we're thinking about is what's best for you. You know that, don't you?
well, yes.
Sure you do. The point is, Hannah, it's not good for you to live this way.
I'm perfectly happy.
But it isn't right. You've got to be where people can care for you, where you won't be alone.
I'm not alone.
Do you know what they're doing to your wife out there?
Hannah's very loyal.
Loyal? What kind of a price does she have to pay for her loyalty? You not only buried yourself, you buried your wife with you. Now you go out there to her. Stand up.
You know that's not true. That's what you've got to understand, Hannah.
Let go.
The general's not here. He was killed in that massacre.
Let go my arm, Mr. Kennedy.
Bob!
Will!
Honest, no use
Will,
to
come
fight.
and help me!
We're going to take
Will! Will, come and show him!
Can't help you. He's dead.
He's not dead. Let me go. Will! Will you
Settle down, Hannah.
help me? Will! William! William!
Settle down, Hannah.
Help me!
Nobody's going to
Will!
Gentlemen. Leave my wife alone. There's no reason for my wife to be tormented, gentlemen. Not any longer.
Put it away, Price.
Oh.
You won't have an easy time of it for a while, sir, but there's one thing you've got to remember. No one blames you.
I know better, Bent.
I'm telling you the truth. The Army held an investigation of the Fort Clark massacre 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Did you see the testimony?
I was there. I heard it. That's why I know you were cleared. Even if you hadn't left the fort, the Indians would have destroyed it. They came in from the north in greater numbers than ever before. The court agreed it was only because of the defenses that you erected that it held out as long as it did. Otherwise, the Indians would surely have gone on to burn Minton.
You see, William, you did save the town.
In the eyes of everyone concerned, you're a hero, alive or dead.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner.
I'll be going along.
Can't you stay with us for a while?
You'll have plenty of company. Both of you. The storekeeper was right. A town has to have someone to laugh at. But it needs someone to admire, too. And once they got to know each other, Minton would be looking up to the general the way it always had. And to the general's wife.